Good morning, everybody. It's been a great weekend, an exciting weekend, and now it's Monday morning. We're here again together for our morning inspiration. Before we go to the morning inspiration, those of you who are watching, whether it's Facebook or YouTube, please make sure to give me a comment. Let me know you're here. The only way I know you're here is if you identify yourself. And certainly, if you have a question or if there's something that you want to share for everyone, please let me know. In Facebook, you know where to do that. On YouTube, it's right on the bottom of the box. So, we're here this morning, a Monday morning. There are many types of stories. Some stories are softer, some are really powerful, and like a good espresso, you want something to really get the week started. So, I have a very, very powerful story for you, and I think it's something that should hopefully set the pace of a very inspiring week. This story takes us back to the summer of 2001. In the middle of the summer, and in fact, some of you that are listening now were there with me that summer when we went for a solidarity trip. And this story is with a fellow called, we're going to call him Michael. It's a fabulous story. In fact, I know people who know the people that were involved. Otherwise, I would be very cautious. It's such an amazing story. So the facts have been checked out. And the story involves a fellow, his name, we'll call him Michael. Michael was a very big, huge, successful businessman, an American businessman. And he went to Israel that summer for on a business trip. A very intense fellow, always working, always meeting. And he was in between two meetings. And he figured he'd go grab a bite at a local pizza shop and quickly get something and go to his next meeting. Well, he walks into the pizza shop and it's a long line. Actually, not a long line because many people walked out. There's only one person working the counter, and people were it was going very slow. So people left, but Michael was there. He wasn't going to run to another shop, and there was one guy, an elderly gentleman, right in front of him, and they're waiting for this guy the manager at the pizza shop or the one who's behind the counter to serve people. And Michael's very fidgety. His time is very calculated, very well thought out. And the man, an elderly gentleman in front of him, sees that he's very fidgety and he can't stand still, as they say in Yiddish or Russian. Yeah, spilkus in the hazen. And this guy's in a rush. The elderly gentleman was in a rush. He turns back to Michael. He says, Michael, his name, he says, Sir, Adoni, it looks like you're in a rush. Do you want to go in front of me? Michael was shocked. The guy lets him go in front of him. Says, are you sure that's okay? And the elderly gentleman says, sure, Vakasha. I'm going to sit down and have my pizza here anyway. I'm not rushing anywhere. Michael was so grateful. He ordered his pizza and he runs out. He runs out of the shop to his meeting and he doesn't even go a block. And all of a sudden he hears this explosion. He hears a shock. He hears all these waves of sound and this pandemonium that breaks out. And then all of a sudden he starts to hear he sees the sirens of the ambulance and the fire trucks. Something went on. And then he looks and he traces, he sees that's where he just was. That was a famous Sbarro pizza shop bombing that took place. And he realizes how lucky he was to get out of there in time. But then he realizes something else. What about that old fellow, that old gentleman that was so kind to let him go in front of him? What happened to him? He forgot about his meeting. He let go of his meeting and said, I got to find this fellow. He runs back to the bombing place, to the Sbarro pizza shop. He looks, he watches who's taken out in the ambulances. He doesn't see this elderly gentleman there. So he starts to go and waits till everything settles down. He goes from hospital to hospital, from emergency room to emergency room. He's looking for this elderly man. He knew he was there, and he was hoping that he was still alive. And he finally meets him in an emergency room in one of the hospitals in Jerusalem, and he sees he's seriously wounded, and he's hooked up to intravenous, but at least he knew he was alive. And he sat there with him, and he waited until his son arrived. So when his son arrived, he wouldn't be alone. And he learns that this fellow's name is Yaakov. So Michael says farewell to Yaakov's son, and he gives Yaakov's son his business card. And he tells him, listen, your father saved my life. If there's anything I can do for you, please don't hesitate to call me. And that's how he left his son. And he looks to the elder Yaakov, who could barely say anything, who could barely speak. And he tells him the same thing. Just let me know what I can do for you. And Yaakov turns with the little energy that he has. He says, I'm okay. Just make sure you kiss your children when you get home. Michael felt that he just has to give Yaakov something. But he felt that he left the card with his son, and if they ever need him, they'll call him back. Well, a few weeks later, after the bombing, and as Yaakov slowly recovered, they realized that Yaakov, the elderly gentleman, will need some serious surgery to deal with his nerves. And as it turns out, the best place for this would be in Boston, would be in America, United States. But they didn't want to travel to the United States with Yaakov. He was an elderly man. And besides, they didn't know anyone in the States. They're just going to go there to a foreign country, not knowing anyone, and go to the hospitals there. Then the son realizes that, 1 second, we have Michael's business card. Let's give Michael a call. Maybe he can help us. They call Michael on the phone a few weeks after this happened and say, Michael, do you know anyone in Boston? Do you know anyone that can help us? Because we're hesitating to go. Michael says, book 2 first-class tickets, or whoever has to come with your dad, book your tickets to New York, and I'll take care of everything. I'll pay for everything. You just make sure your dad comes. I'll make all the other arrangements. And as they're booking the tickets, Michael's calling all his contacts, seeing what's the best way to do. He consults with doctors, and they in fact find a place for him, a great facility in Boston for him to have the surgery and a place for his family to stay. And they arrive in New York, and Yaakov goes with his family to Boston with a car ride or train ride, however Michael arranged it. And Michael did something that he's never done in his life. Michael takes off a day of work to go up to Boston to be there for his surgery, for Yaakov's surgery. This was unheard of. Michael would get to work 7 o'clock every morning. He wouldn't leave till late at night when he wasn't traveling. And here he took off a day to be there and make sure that everything that was in place for Yaakov. He flies up to Boston the day of the surgery. It was a very extensive, long surgery. Went late at night. And the next morning, Yaakov, son, and family, and Michael are sitting in the waiting room, 8:30 a.m., waiting to hear about Yaakov's recovery. And that's exactly where Michael was sitting at 8:30 a.m. in the morning of September 11th. Michael was sitting in the waiting room of the Boston hospital instead of where he would have been on the 101st floor of the World Trade Center. On September 11, 2001, Michael, had he gone to work, instead of visiting and being with Yaakov's family, would not be here any longer to tell us the story. Why was he spared? Because he put away his life to help somebody else, for another individual who put away his life to help him. See, whether it's a small gesture of letting someone in front of you in line who's in a rush, or a huge act of kindness to pay for a whole person's medical trip to come and find healing. When we do something of kindness for someone else, it reverberates, and God makes sure it gets paid forward, one way or another. Sometimes we can connect the dots, but not always. But one thing we need to know, that faith in God and faith in our tradition is more than just faith in something. It's the belief in the goodness of the world, in the goodness within yourself. And when you tap into that goodness on a small gesture or a large gesture, you unleash a greater power of good. Sometimes it's as dramatic as saving you or sparing you from a September 11th event. And sometimes it doesn't appear as dramatic, but it's always an infusion of great and positive divine energy into your life. So, my dear friends, as we begin this week, another week in self isolation, self quarantine, shutdown, frustration, tension, remember, don't allow that to overpower the goodness that you can offer to someone else. Be a little bit more patient. Be a little bit more understanding. Call someone. Be kind. That's what we need. And the little gestures of kindness, like the Yaakov letting Michael in front of him because he realized he was in a rush. Not too many people would do that. But that ended up saving Michael's life, which in turn ended up bringing a lot of healing to Yaakov himself. So have a wonderful day. Have a meaningful week. And tomorrow we will be doing an 8:30 check-in on the big ideas. On Wednesday we will do a story. On Thursday another big idea, and then we're back to Shabbat. So I'm going to just briefly scroll through the comments here to see if someone has a question. Good morning, everyone. I see everybody's enjoying this. It's great to see all the names here of people. Yes, I see there's a problem here on YouTube. I will get to that. Yes, Ellen, I just got the chills. What an amazing story. It, in fact, is an amazing story, but it's a powerful story for us to really be able to appreciate kindness that's done to us and kindness that's done to others. So I would like to conclude with, again, reminding you of our website. We have so many different small sessions, larger sessions, rabbis, rebbeitzins, adult youth. There's so much going on. I'm posting things every day. So keep checking our schedule on virtualjewishcenter.org. Rabbi Weinstein is about to launch a very extensive adult education program that most of the things are online. Stay posted. Keep checking. It's just a click away at virtualjewishcenter.org. And for now, make it a very meaningful day. Make it a very powerful day. And I'll see you tomorrow. Shalom.